What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
July 10th, and we are back with another episode of Sweep the League. I am your co-host, Rudy Campos Jr., joined, as always, by my co-host, my BFF on the podcast airwaves, Mr. the Rambassador himself, Mr. Coach Gio. Gio, how was your weekend? Was it good? I know we had a podcast over the weekend with Austin, if they haven't listened to it.
Yeah, I had a really good weekend, real productive, and beginning the work week. Halfway point, I took Monday off, and I'm ready for this weekend as well. So, hey,
yeah, you know what sucks is like this weekend, my daughter has a performance downtown. She just started to do the folklorico dance type thing. So
wait, the what?
It's called folklorico. It's the ladies that have that big old skirt and they hold it up and they dance around. And I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, it's like everywhere in San Antonio, especially around fiesta time and stuff. So,
is it? Oh, okay. Is it like mariachi or no?
I don't know if you would know. It's not mariachi. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think it's mariachi music, but I don't. You know, I'll be honest, man. I don't know what you would consider it. To be honest with you, it's like okay, flamenco. I guess flamenco dance. It might be close to that. If somebody is watching.
Well, Rudy, maybe we can have you one day show everyone what exactly your daughter does so we can get that visual presence. If not, I'm kind of not understanding. But if you want to do that one day, it'll be epic.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's what we got going on this weekend. But I bring it up because it's supposed to be downtown San Antonio, Market Square. It's supposed to be hot. And I'm not looking forward to that. I'm a big guy, so I don't like the outdoors when it's hot. So I'll be sweating in places that you normally don't sweat in. So
well, Rudy, you can be one of those people that bring like a fan, like on a hat or something like that.
I don't know, man. I just know that Market Square is gonna smell like burnt bacon by the end of the night, or actually by the end of the afternoon. So that's not a good thing. But yeah, we come up on here and we've been talking NBA, a lot of NBA lately, and
I'm tired of the damn NBA. Just get rid of it.
For good. It's not hashtag not my NBA.
I know, right?
I'm not looking forward to talking to NBA tonight. So we're kind of switching the gears here. We're going into football season. MLB had their All-Star game last night. Great All-Star game. I enjoyed watching the MLB Futures game. We had stars like Mackenzie Gore, Joe Adele. I mean, even Wander Franco, who we talked about with Austin on one show. They were all playing. It was a great game. It was actually a great weekend for MLB overall as far as the All-Star games and everything was concerned. The home run derby was phenomenal. You have Vlad Jr. I think he hit 91 home runs. Is that what it was?
Dude,
it was some stupid number like that.
I mean, he had like what 30? Oh no, 29 in one round.
He had 29 the first round. He ended up with 40 the second round because he had two overtimes, and then 60 or 22. I think the last. It was like 91. I think is what he ended up having. But yeah, the home run derby was awesome. I hate the fact that Vlad lost it.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. I mean, Pete Alonso came through at the end. It just sucks that you hit almost 100 home runs in the derby and you're not even the winner. So, but yeah, we talked to NBA free agency and we're kind of both tired about NBA. We're switching gears to NFL right now.
Finally,
yeah, we've got training camps starting to open up here within about a week. I think a few of them will open up. Of course, they all open up in about 2 weeks. Me being a Rams fan, me being a Falcon fan. The outlook is bright. I think doing a little bit more research, the outlook is pretty bright for the Rams. I think the only concern is one that we're going to talk about here coming up for the Rams. But before we get into that, the Falcons. I believe you a little bit more and more each day when you said that they are.
Bro, listen, man. I start to grow on you like fungus sometimes, Rudy. And I feel like the Falcons, what they did this offseason, along with the offensive line in the draft, I feel like they're poised for a breakout season. I know last season was very up and down. Defensively, lost several guys to injuries. The offense was very inconsistent. But new offensive coordinator, he's been there before. I think Atlanta's going to have one of those seasons. The Saints may take a step down. Carolina, we don't know about Cam Newton. Tampa Bay, one of those sleepers in there. But I think Atlanta has a great opportunity to really push things forward. Got to stay healthy on defense, of course, but the sky's the limit, I think, this season for them.
So, speaking of the Falcons, what win total do you think they have? I don't know if you looked at their record, or not their record, their schedule yet, but without really studying their record, what do you think their win total is going to be at? Just out of curiosity.
I'm going to go with 10, 11 wins this season.
Does that win the division with the Saints being in there?
The Saints, I've been hearing a lot of stuff on Twitter about their schedule and how early on, they got to travel a bit. They got to go to LA and then Seattle. I think the Saints got to get off to a good start, in my opinion. But I think it's a great shot for Atlanta to really come off the gate swinging. I know the Falcons play the Rams as well, but overall, I think 11 wins, it could be enough depending on what happens in the division, because the Saints are always going to be a tough out, Drew Brees. But remember this, Rudy, Drew Brees, man, that dude fell off a cliff those last, 7-8 games of the season. He was never the same after that Dallas Cowboy game. So, could Father Time be knocking on his door, Rudy? Could be so. We'll see that this season. Cam Newton with the Carolina Panthers, he's been working on his throwing motion. He's been working on a lot of things this offseason. But you know how it is already. When you get into game time, sometimes you forget about those mechanics and you start to revert back to the old ways. But I would love to see Cam Newton be a lot more consistent. Obviously, he's getting older. Those injuries, that's a big concern. Tampa Bay, you got Bruce Arians there. The offense is going to sling it. That defense is atrocious. I think Rudy could have played better defense last year than Tampa Bay. So
I think it's going to be the toughest division in football.
For sure, though. I think with Tampa Bay bringing in a much experienced coach coming in, Bruce Arians, he turned around Arizona, Rudy, and he put them in a great position in the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, they lose to the Carolina Panthers. But Bruce Arians, he knows his offense. He was in Pittsburgh for a few years. So that's one team that I'm really interested to see how they come together. But defensively, that's going to be their huge Achilles heel.
Yeah.
But going back to the Falcons, I feel like they have a great shot. So,
okay.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know probably within the next week or two here, we're going to go division by division, look at their schedules and try to see what we feel is going to win the division. We'll probably end up starting in the NFC, then go to the AFC. One division I do want to start with for sure is the NFC North. The Bears, the Lions, the Vikings, Packers. I want to start with that division because we have a member of our podcast community, Miss Carolina Teague, who's a massive Bears fan. So we'll start with that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll get her on the podcast as well so she can talk about the Bears and also the NFC North. I think that one is a very intriguing division. I like the Vikings in that division. I don't count out the Bears. You can never count out Aaron Rodgers. And I even think Detroit has a decent shot to do something. So that's going to be another tough division. But being that you're a Rams fan and you like to cover the Rams, this has both concerns for actual football and, fantasy football. So, of course, it's, the reports are out there about Todd Gurley and his knee injury. Basic question is, because if you look at it at a reality standpoint or you look at it for a fantasy football standpoint, it is a concern. Now, Todd Gurley is the type of player who, if he's 100% healthy, he's probably going to go 1-2 in the draft, no matter where you drafted him in fantasy. But if you look at reality, a healthy Todd Gurley means the Rams are the best team in football. So let me give it to you and say, okay, take the reality side first. What is the concern on the reality side for the Rams? Is it a huge concern for the Rams on the reality side? And then when you go into the fantasy world, is Todd Gurley actually one to look at? Because I don't have him in my first round for any drafts, and I'm even skeptical of drafting him anywhere round 1, 2, possibly 3. So give me the reality side, then give me the fantasy side as far as Todd Gurley goes for the concern.
Well, reality, Rudy, of course, it's very concerning for the Rams. I mean, he missed, pretty much towards the end of the season. The Rams went ahead and picked up, what's his first name again? His last name is Anderson, but his first name was,
CJ? Was it CJ?
Yes, CJ Anderson. They picked that dude up. He basically was working at Subway, and he definitely looked like he was eating at Subway. Yeah. And it's just very
in a grocery store like Kurt Warner.
Yeah. It's very concerning because you don't know what to expect from Todd. That load management will take effect this season. The Rams definitely want to limit his touches because you want him for the long haul, not just for the season, but also the playoffs as well. So the Rams go out and do what, Rudy? They draft Darrell Henderson from University of Memphis, an all-purpose back, a guy you can go out in the backfield, take passes, take runs, sweeps, tosses, and really incorporate him in the offense. The Rams are expanding the playbook this season to really use as much personnel as possible, not just the 11th. So expect the Rams to really push the scope with Jared Goff this season and really kind of testing what they can do to the limit offensively, because you're not going to be able just to pound that rock every single game. You're going to have to come with creative ways to obviously use Todd Gurley, but also use Darrell Henderson, because this guy is just a speedster. But not only that, very, very creative in the backfield as well. So,
well, yeah, with Darrell Henderson being drafted by the Rams, I really did like that draft when they did make that draft, when they did make that pick. But
yeah,
if you go into the reality side for the Rams, if you get Gurley back, because I'm not too sure, I can't remember offhand, is Gurley starting the season or he's going to be out for the?
I'm pretty sure he will. He's not going to play the preseason. Obviously, he'll sit down. Actually, I think the Rams are going to sit everybody down during preseason. So we're probably going to potentially see him week 1 for sure. I haven't heard anything else about it, but Todd Gurley should be playing for week 1. And for the fantasy side, Rudy, as you said, I'm staying away from Todd Gurley in the first round. I think he's a little bit too rich for my blood. And there's other.
Like, where would you draft him?
See, that's the tough part, because if you draft Todd Gurley, to me, Rudy,
Darrell Henderson,
you have to get Darrell Henderson. You have to potentially get Henderson. You might have to get him early, depending on what type of people you have in your draft who, like to hog people's players. So very strategic. Todd Gurley, Rudy, potentially mid-second, third round, because the unknown, the unknown is so certain that if you're in the third round, Rudy, and Todd Gurley is just right there in your face, it's going to be hard just to not draft him. I mean, the guy was a top 5 running back last season. He was on pace potentially to break LaDainian Tomlinson's touchdown record. So, let's kind of pull the brakes off, because this guy is very talented, but very uncertain. To me, if I'm in the third round, probably middle second, if he's sitting there, the problem is, Rudy, people are going to pull the plug probably in the beginning of the second. So Todd Gurley won't be around for very long. But to me, I really am considering not drafting him and also Melvin Gordon, who screwed me over last season. I don't want to talk about that guy, but really screwed me over in fantasy football. But for Todd Gurley, third round, but you got to get Darrell Henderson, though. Fifth round? I mean, you're going to have to get him early. So,
well, if you see Gurley there at 3, I can potentially see you taking Gurley there. But the thought is this: okay, if you take Gurley at 3, then coming around 4, you have to take Henderson there. You cannot wait around, because if you're in a knowledgeable group of players, it's
the thing is that Darrell Henderson, I mean, his ADP is probably further than that, but I think you're right, Rudy. I think, tracking ADP is not always a smart decision, just because someone goes, in the 5th round doesn't mean you can't draft them in the 4th, or if they said 8th round doesn't mean you can't draft them in the 5th. I think his ADP is higher than that, but if I'm a Rams owner in fantasy, get Darrell 5th, 6th round, depending on what type of people you have. If you got a bunch of dummies, you probably can wait, Rudy, to be honest with you. But if you got a bunch of smart guys, Darrell Henderson is going to be a sweet pickup, especially if anything happens to Todd Gurley. Darrell Henderson fits in. Yep.
So he's good trade bait. So that's what we were figuring both on the Todd Gurley front. This is
he is good trade bait, Todd Gurley, because if he starts off the season well, you have those owners who are going to be like, man, first 5 weeks he's slinging it. Maybe time to trade him and kind of buy high on him.
Mm-hmm. I get it, and that's if you're looking at me now. Before we move on, if you're looking at me about this and you're asking me about it, if I see Gurley at 3 or 4, I'm obviously going to take Gurley, but I have to come back with Henderson. That's just my train of thought, because if I don't, say Gurley gets hurt and the Rams are a prolific offense, which they really are a prolific offense in the league, you're going to want Henderson. So you're going to.
I think the only thing that happens, Rudy, if you pick 2 of them, you kind of cancel each other out, which it does make sense. Obviously, with an offense that's high powered, you do cancel each other out, because would you start both of them, Rudy?
No. This is in hopes of you drafting a running back with one of your first 2 picks. So I'm assuming, here's the thing. If I get the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th pick, if I'm in the top 4, I'm looking at, in a PPR type style, because most leagues are PPR right now, I'm either looking at a Barkley, McCaffrey, Kamara, or Ezekiel Elliott, and one of those positions right there. So coming up in round 3, if Gurley's there at the top, I can still take him at the top, knowing I have one of the top 4 running backs already in the back pocket. So then I have to come back with Henderson, and you still have the Gurley.
You have an interesting strategy, Rudy. Very interesting.
My strategy changes from year to year, and once we get Nick from Lynn Sports and Read and React in here, he'll tell you, because I'm in one of his leagues, and he'll tell you my strategy is weird. I will draft the absolute best player available, and I'll trade him before the season even starts, because I build my team through trades. I really do.
You're one of those people sending some bogus trades, right?
Well, not bogus, because every trade I've ever offered has been pretty much accepted. So I'm not one to. I build through the draft if I feel like it's a good team, but if I take Barkley at 1, and I have a mediocre receiver and a mediocre running back, I can easily take Barkley and turn him into a really good receiver and a serviceable running back and get the same in return. So I'm the type of guy where if you give me maximum value for Saquon Barkley, I might take it, because I'll be able to fill 2 positions rather than just that one. If that makes sense. I'm a huge armchair GM when it comes to fantasy football. And
Rudy, I mean, I have been doing this for a long time, so I've won and I won a lot of money recently, the past several years.
Doing this,
and that's why we're doing it, to get some extra cash.
So speaking of running backs here, we're going to get into some fantasy football talk, because tonight we are talking football and fantasy football mainly. This is something we're going to do on Sunday mornings before the games. I know you have ESPN's fantasy football. We might even do it on a Saturday or something like that, just to kind of get ours in before theirs. So what we're going to do today is give you our top 5 running backs, fantasy running backs. I will let you go first on this side. Again, this is all going to be based off of PPR. So who do you got as your top 5 running backs? If you want to give them in order, you can. If not, no big deal. I mean, I would say just, 5 overall.
No particular order, Rudy. I don't want to, hurt anybody's feelings. But obviously Saquon Barkley, the opportunities are going to be there. Last season with a very bad offensive line, still did very, very well. Ezekiel Elliott, he's another workhorse. I mean, ever since he's been in the league, Rudy, the guy has basically been a walking 100-yard machine. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he took a huge step last season. You talk about all-purpose back, Christian McCaffrey. And the next guy Ray, I'm kind of struggling with this because there's two guys right now that's kind of fighting for that fifth spot. Alvin Kamara, and I really, really love David Johnson from Arizona. He had that injury last season that basically ended, his entire year. Actually, no, that was 2 years ago. Last season, he just had a down season. I mean, that entire team was horrible. David Johnson, I expect for a bounce-back season. I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara. Obviously, he's been doing it a little bit more consistent lately. But Alvin Kamara, there's no Mark Ingram there. So it's basically just him. We're going to see what he's made of this season because the past 3 years, Ingram has been kind of splitting time with him, giving him that rest. This season, basically no one, they did sign, I believe, Latavius Murray, as the backup running back. But those are my five guys running out with Alvin Kamara with number 5.
Not bad. What I've do is I'll go ahead and list mine as 1 through 5 in order because I don't really care whose feelings I hurt. I definitely, you're looking at Saquon at number 1. I think overall he's the back that you do want. He's going to get you a lot of catches out of the backfield. Very lightning quick speed. I mean, he can break tackles. Once he's gone, he's gone. I have him over Alvin Kamara slightly. I do like Kamara second, only for the simple fact of what you did mention. Mark Ingram's not there. So it's Kamara's show. It's Kamara's position to lose, really. So when you've got a quarterback like Drew Brees and you've got an offensive mind like Sean Payton, I think Kamara's going to benefit just being the main back down in New Orleans. After that, it gets kind of tricky for me because I do like Christian McCaffrey a lot. So I went ahead and put him at number 3. A little part of me says McCaffrey is going to have a down year compared to what he had last year. Cam Newton is what's going to drive McCaffrey either to have a great year or a bad year or a mediocre year. McCaffrey's one that you kind of have to watch because last year he didn't really come out of nowhere, but he had the type of season you probably didn't expect from Christian McCaffrey after his rookie season. So here's what I'm thinking about McCaffrey. I think he has an okay year. He's going to put up some really good stats. I don't think he has the year that he did last year. So that's why I've got him at 3. If I felt any better, I would have had him ranked higher than Kamara. At number 4, I am actually going to go with Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys. All they're doing is feeding the ball to Zeke Elliott. And now that he's able to catch a few passes out of the backfield, I think they're going to go that route. The Cowboys also do have a better receiving core, so that will open up some more running lanes for Zeke. At 5, I understand your David Johnson pick. I even thought about Le'Veon Bell at this position. James Conner and Joe Mixon were tickling on my nutsack. But at 5, I went with Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, again, quarterback play, prolific offense. Phillip Rivers and him work well together. You have an outside receiver right there with Keenan Allen, so it does open up stuff. I like Melvin Gordon. I think he's going to have a terrific year this year. I want to say I'm going to go on a limb and say he's going to probably finish in the top 3 in running backs. That's how much I love him this year, but I'm going to put him at 5. So those are my top 5 running backs. We pretty much had the same ones. I mean, I think we're going to be pretty similar along the way, so I'm not worried about that. So let's jump over to our top 5 fantasy quarterbacks. We do have a couple of questions at the end of the show that some fans left, and also one of them actually was Carolina, so we'll get to her question here in a little bit. Top 5 fantasy quarterbacks. This is kind of a tough one for me because I'll start off with this one. I'm not a really huge Patrick Mahomes fan, even though he did tear it up.
Oh my God. You're such a hater, Rudy.
No. I'm not hating. I am a person that says, okay, you did it 1 year. This is for quarterbacks only. You had one good year. It's the Dak Prescott effect. You had a great year. What can you do for me that second year? So until I see what Patrick Mahomes does this season, my jury is still out on him. I'm not saying I'm not going to draft him. If he's obviously available, he's available. I'll take him. But he's not my top pick at quarterback. Surprisingly, my top pick is Andrew Luck. I really, really tremendously love Andrew Luck this season. Austin Hartsfield is, probably shitting the bed and wetting the bed right now. He's so excited that I've got Andrew Luck as my top quarterback. After that, I go with Patrick Mahomes just because of what he did last season. I I don't know if he's going to have the same type of season. I don't know if he's going to have a worse season than he had last year. Obviously, with Kareem Hunt moving on to Cleveland, that does hurt his stock a little bit. It depends on what happens, which I don't think anything's going to happen to Tyreek Hill. So he may have a decent season still, but we will see. The jury's still out with Patrick Mahomes on me. Number 3, I have to go with Old Faithful. It's Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. You can never count out Rodgers. He's got Devontae Adams still. I think as long as Rodgers can stand up, he's going to put up his numbers no matter what. Outside of that, I am surprisingly going to go with number 4 at Matt Ryan. My good buddy, Matty Ice Ryan.
The guy you've been hating on basically the entire season is now in Rudy's top 5 of fantasy.
Well, again, this is fantasy. I'm looking to win a league. I'm not stupid. So I definitely have number 4. I definitely have Matt Ryan. You have Ridley, you have Julio Jones. You're getting Freeman back. Now, the biggest thing is that they pretty much shored up the offensive line. So Matt Ryan standing up straight and standing upright the entire time is a major benefit for the Atlanta Falcons. It'll actually give him more time to get the ball to Julio Jones. Where I see Matt Ryan's biggest struggle is that it's not his fault so much. It's the offensive line. Why? Because you didn't allow Julio Jones. You didn't allow Calvin Ridley. You didn't allow these guys to separate from their defenders. I mean, you have to chunk the ball up there because you have a defensive lineman just coming right at you. You're hoping that they make that play. So hopefully with the better offensive line, their routes are actually going to be able to be ran a lot better. They're more crisper, gives them time to break away. At number 5, I had to do a toss-up before we did the show because I had Deshaun Watson and I had Baker Mayfield at number 5. So when I tossed the coin, it actually came up on Deshaun Watson for some reason. I would have gone with Baker Mayfield, but because the coin said Deshaun Watson, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson at number 5. You have arguably the best wide receiver in the league in DeAndre Hopkins. I just feel like where Watson separates himself from Baker Mayfield is the legs. Watson can make plays for himself. He has, in my opinion, he's got a very, very
Baker's also
he can run.
He can run out. I mean, he's kind of really deceptive with his speed as well.
So we'll say 5A and 5B, Watson and Mayfield, because those can be interchangeable. But those are my top quarterbacks. What do you got, man? Because obviously, if anybody's thinking out there, where the hell is Tom Brady? Where the hell is this Drew Brees? They're there. They're just not top 5 material. At least.
Well, Rudy, I think you know what I'm going to show you right now.
Probably, I think. I mean, we can't. Yeah, back it. We've seen that before.
Rudy, I know there's some type of hate in your heart somewhere for Pat Mahomes, but historically, not just with Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid's offense, fantasy football, very friendly. Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick. Hey, even Foles one season went on a crazy run. Listen, that offense, it just works. And even Alex Smith, very consistent in fantasy as well, once he obviously did leave. Pat Mahomes, there's no mistake there. He's obviously not going to throw for 50 touchdowns and do all those things. Obviously, Kareem Hunt is gone. He loses one of his best playmakers. I do like Damian Williams a bit, but Pat Mahomes, Mecole Hardman's there. Tyreek Hill, it looks like he's not going to get suspended, Rudy, so he's still there. Sammy Watkins, if he can just stay healthy, obviously Travis Kelce, there's a buttload of offense there. So Pat Mahomes is my number 1 QB. Number 2, Andrew Luck finally has an offensive line, a running game last season towards the end, really heated up for their playoff run. I think Andrew Luck's going to have another big season, and it's just kind of Mr. Consistency. Though I will say about that team, Rudy, they lost they're 0-5 and then went on some crazy run. Yeah. I'm just wondering if they're going to come down to earth a little bit, but for fantasy purposes, Andrew Luck's my number 2 quarterback. Number 3 quarterback, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers here. Yeah, but the reports are from Green Bay, Rudy, him and the coach, not going too well. And Matt LaFleur, didn't he tore his ACL like recently?
Mm-hmm.
So something's just very strange about that situation. And also Matt LaFleur, former Rams offensive coordinator, even though he didn't call the plays, he goes to Tennessee and they shit the bed there, and now he's a head coach. What? But anyway, Matt LaFleur's there. Aaron Rodgers, do I expect them to run what some of the Rams do? Maybe, but they really need Jamal Allison and Van Scanley to also really step up there. And also for next quarterback, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson. That offensive line was really bad last season.
It's just something about Watson, right?
He's a guy. Obviously, playoff Watson not so good, but during the regular season, I expect him to really improve, and also with more weapons there, get a little bit more healthy. The offensive line, though, is a key for me, and also his decision making to improve. I'm going to go with Watson. I think he has a really good season, and that was number 4, right?
Yeah, you had
number 5. Rudy, I'm going with Baker Mayfield. I just think with the array of talent there, it's just, the tight end situation with Njoku, you got Landry, you have Odell, you have Kareem Hunt coming back after week 8, you have, you have Chubb there, and then the offensive line, it just makes to be an offense that really is for fantasy. Now, are they going to make the playoffs? That's a different story for another day. But fantasy purposes, Baker Mayfield, I just kind of love his moxie, and I just feel like for fantasy, they're going to do very well. So that's my top 5.
Nice. So, yeah, the quarterback position, you don't see a lot of the older guys there like Brady, Breeze, and stuff like that because
really, some of those guys are good for streaming purposes. If Drew Brees is playing a defense, and we're not trying to say Drew Brees is garbage and Tom Brady's garbage. No. But by any means, there's no way I'm drafting Tom Brady with my, in that top 5 there. So
yeah, no, Brady's going to put up his numbers, but his offense though, I don't know, man. They lose a tight end there, and the receiving core. Josh Gordon. I hope he comes back, but we don't know what the hell's up with this guy mentally. You did draft that rookie. I think last name Henry. I forgot his first name. They did draft the rookie there, but Julian Edelman, hopefully he's not doing PEDs again. I don't know. So, and that's the thing is you don't know because with no Gronk, you don't know anything about Edelman right now. We still don't. We don't know where you're going to get what you got for Patriots. The Patriots are still going to be there. They're still going to probably, make it to the Super Bowl again. So, you're still getting the Patriots team you always are seeing. But that's almost like the Spurs system. You just plug and play. You plug guys in and the offense just runs itself. As long as you have a quarterback like Tom Brady, you always have a chance. So, moving on, man, we've got top 5 fantasy wide receivers. I'm going to let you go on this one first. Surprisingly, I said DeAndre Hopkins is the best fantasy receiver, but I don't have him number 1. So you go first.
Well, Rudy, you're probably, some of your mind must still be in Vegas.
No. I don't know why I don't have him number 1. Well, I know why I don't have him number 1, but it's surprising who I have number 1, I think. But I'll let you start off this list. So,
number 1 is the man we just talked about, DeAndre Hopkins. I just think he's the best receiver in the NFL. Just Mr. Consistency with any type of quarterback is going to have the same season, if not even better, with the Texans' offensive line also improving with a few other things. Number 2, though, the receiving list is kind of interesting just because there's so many guys that are very, very good. And it's kind of tough to kind of rank these guys. But with number 2, I'm going to go with Devontae Adams. Had a big season last year. He can even have a bigger season if the other receivers there in Green Bay really kind of pick up the pace and really help him out because he's normally double team. I had him in fantasy last year, Rudy, just Mr. Reliable is going to continue to do that. Number 3 for me, Julio Jones. Rudy, I'm not sure what the hell Steve Sarkisian did with with him last season. I mean, the guy's touchdown ratio in the red zone was probably like extremely bad. I expect them to really just get him the ball some way, somehow. You know, whether it's a sweep, whether it's just anything, get him the ball. Julio Jones, like I've been telling you, Rad, I just really like the Falcons offense. So Julio Jones, to me, I think he comes back and has a kind of big out year because last year was a little bit down. Number 4, I'm going with Michael Thomas from the Saints. The Saints receiving core, it's okay. But Thomas is very, very good. They feature him. I mean, Sean Payton's just a mastermind on offense. He just finds ways to just give people the ball. Michael Thomas is going to continue that. Though I do think they need to kind of spread the ball a little bit more because there were games already where Thomas, he was just catching everything. I mean, they were just throwing darts at this guy. Boom, boom, boom. Some of the other receivers definitely could step up for him to be a little bit more balance. And up next, I'm a little torn with this, Rudy. I'm gonna go with Odell Beckham, but Juju Smith-Schuster, he's close.
Yeah.
Though I want to see Juju kind of be the guy because obviously last year he was in the shadows of Antonio Brown. But I'm gonna go with Odell Beckham. Mike Evans is there as well, Antonio Brown. But I'm gonna go with Odell. I just think, just the pure talent wise, he's he's one of the best receivers in the league. He needs to stay healthy, and he needs his mind to stay healthy too, Rudy. So many times you saw him with the Giants, and he would just do dumb things, and he's very emotional. I get it, but just play within the offense, do you, and just be the best damn receiver he can be. Because Rudy, that guy's talent is just tremendous. But I feel like, and obviously he was playing in New York, so the Giants' offensive line and Eli Manning, which, by the way, Rudy, is still the quarterback of the New York Giants. Go figure.
We'll get into that NFL news and tidbit type thing later on because that's something I do want to ask you about.
My last guy is with Odell Beckham, just because it's just a pure talent, and I think there's a lot of stuff going on in Cleveland.
Well, I mean, our list is pretty much identical. At 1, my surprise is actually Devontae Adams. I like the season he had last year. And don't get me wrong, DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the league. He is, hands down, the best receiver in the league. But I like Devontae Adams so much this coming season. Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to get him the ball. He's going to be the man in Green Bay. If you look at quarterback ratio or quarterbacks, it's going to be Rodgers against Watson. I'll take Rodgers all day. Again, I don't know how much Deshaun Watson or how long Deshaun Watson can stay in the pocket. So until I can see that, I'm going to take Devontae Adams with his quarterback and Rodgers before I take Hopkins, which Hopkins is my number 2 wide receiver for all the same reasons. The guy just catches everything. He's a catch magnet.
Yeah, he's just a catch magnet.
Yeah, so, I mean, in a PPR type sense, it probably makes more sense to take DeAndre Hopkins over Adams, but I think you get more touchdowns, which are going to actually balance everything out with Adams. At number 3, it is Julio Jones for me. Again, I had Matt Ryan at 5 on my quarterback list. So I'm expecting Julio Jones to have a really good year. What's really pissing me off over the past few seasons was, you're right, his touchdown, ratio is horrible. I mean, he even had a 300-yard game, I think, in there, a year ago, and I think he only had like 1 score in that whole time. So I think they're going to find a way to get Julio the ball into the end zone. What I don't like is when they get down into the goal line, they don't ever try to do just a go up and get it for Julio. The guy can jump out of the damn gym. So why they have never done that, I don't know. It's always a fade route. It's always a cross pattern. Just throw it up there, let him get it. So I don't understand that.
But Rudy, with the offense going back to Dirk Cutter, I feel like you're going to see the ode Julio there.
I hope so, because if I feel like I don't see it in the preseason, which I expect him to play a little bit in the preseason, I'm going to go with this next guy, and that is Juju Smith-Schuster at 4. I like that because Antonio Brown is gone, and Big Ben still has enough in the tank. Big Ben has those games every season, and they happen more often than not, where he's throwing for 400 or 500 and multiple touchdowns. And when he does that, he always seems to key in on one receiver. Used to be Brown. Schuster's going to be that guy. What I do like about him is that he's going to have help on the other side of the field in James Washington. I think those two guys are, they're going to make Ben feel young again just for a little while. So I like Schuster at 4. Number 5, I am going to go with. I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen a lot. And I understand the hype between Odell Beckham. He's got Baker Mayfield. I just think on Odell's side, there's too many weapons in Cleveland. And it's funny because you say that, that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But in the reality world, it's not. In fantasy world, having too many weapons can be a bad thing because, is Chubb going to get the ball? Is Kareem Hunt going to get the ball? Is Baker going to run it in for the end zone? He also has Jarvis Landry to the side. You have Njoku. You have too many weapons in Cleveland. So on the fantasy perspective, Odell, I think, is probably 6 or 7 for me. I went with Keenan Allen because, again, Phillip Rivers, he never ceases to amaze me, man. He's always putting up numbers. Keenan Allen is the guy that he always goes to. So I'm hoping Keenan stays healthy. He's been having some health issues the past few years. If he stays healthy, I think he has a really, really good season. What I feel about Michael Thomas is the fact that he's the Saints' best receiver, but I think we're going to see a lot more of Kamara this year because of no Mark Ingram. And I think Kamara gobbles up a lot of the offensive side to where Michael Thomas is still going to have a fantastic season. I just don't think it's going to be the type of season that we're expecting him to have. So that's why I took Keenan Allen at that position. So those are our top 5 running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Real quick, we've got the biggest sleeper, the biggest bust. I'll take I can give you my first one on the sleeper first. Do you want to go position or you just want to go overall? Because I can give you one for each position. So
just overall.
Overall? Okay.
Yeah.
My biggest sleeper is I have a few written down, so I'm trying to see which one I actually want to go with. But I'm gonna say Jameis Winston from Tampa Bay. He's going to be my biggest sleeper. A lot of people are not going to draft him very early, and that's fine.
Well, Rudy, he could go undrafted.
He possibly could go undrafted. You're right. Some mock drafts he has gone undrafted, but I feel that he's going to be a sleeper this season. He's going to be a guy that you are going to get pretty much in the late rounds, and you are going to benefit from getting him. You are talking about Jameis Winston, who can still chunk the ball down the field. I just have this thing where I've been looking at, he still has some offensive weapons. He can still stand upright. He can still move. Jameis Winston is my sleeper for 2019. What do you have as a sleeper?
The sleeper is so hard to predict, Rudy, because there's so much that has to go into a quote unquote sleeper. Obviously Jameis has been in the league for a while. So if he surprises you, but definitely I think he's a top sleeper. But I'm going to go with David Montgomery from the Bears as a guy that's going to fit in a perfect opportunity with a very good offensive line and opportunity. Remember, Howard's gone. He's with the Eagles. I mean, they had over, 400 touches between those two backs last season. David Montgomery. I think Rudy is poised for a huge season. A lot of people on Twitter have been saying, no, you're crazy. He's a rookie. I'm telling you right now, David Montgomery, if you have an opportunity, if he's sitting there, 4th round, 3rd round, hey.
Take him that high, though?
Hey, team huevos. Don't be afraid. If he's sitting right there, I'm telling you right now, pull the plug. The Bears offense, Matt Nagy has been praising him during mini camps. Remember, this offense is very creative, Rudy. They do a lot of different things. And Howard last season wasn't terrible. So you put David Montgomery there, who has a better skill set, can also catch out of the backfield very, very well. Montgomery, pick him up.
Okay. And I can't I mean, I agree with you 100%. David Montgomery, we'll actually get into that here in a little while because there was a question that was asked about Montgomery and Tyreek Cohen. But yeah, Montgomery, I think, is probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's the offensive rookie of the year. That's the kind of hopes, that's the kind of things that I've seen from him That's what I've seen. That's the way I feel about David Montgomery. So I feel the offensive
Wait.
rookie of the year is actually going
You
to
don't think it's gonna be Daniel Jones?
Mm,
No, I'm
that's-
just.
and that's like I said, when we talk about some news and stuff in a little while, I'm going to bring up Jones. But as far as a bust goes, it was easy for me. Leonard Fournette is such a huge name, but this season I am staying completely away from Leonard Fournette. By all means, the only way I am drafting him is if I'm in rounds 10, 11, 12, and he's still there. I
What?
may take
Are
him.
you crazy?
You think? I mean, he's gonna go. He's
Gonna go way.
high.
He's
No,
gonna
no.
way earlier than that.
He's gonna go high because of his name, but you cannot expect anything out of Leonard Fournette this season. I am expecting nothing out of Fournette. I'm expecting a mediocre year, and that is it. It's not worth to me. He's not worth top five, first 5 rounds. At least for me, he's not worth first 5.
Well, Rudy, he did have somewhat of a bad season last year, so he is, I think, poised. And remember, Foles is there. I'm not saying Foles is the next coming of Jesus Christ, but damn it, he's better than Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
I think the Fournette, I think you're reaching there, Rudy, but I can respect that decision. Another guy that I'm going to go with here. This is tough, man, because there's so many guys that you could potentially quote unquote see. Rudy, I'm gonna shock the world here. I'm gonna go with Drew Brees.
I respect that.
I think towards the end of last season, for whatever reason,
Mhm.
he just fell off a cliff. He just fell off. It's like a man that you saw that you just didn't know who it was.
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to affect Michael Thomas. I think he'll have a good fantasy season. But I just think overall, Drew Brees is not going to have the season as everyone think he is. I think Father Time has kind of knocked on his door a little bit, and maybe there's going to be a louder knock of Father Time. I think he takes several steps back in a Saints team that I don't want to give any future predictions, but let's just say Drew Brees is not going to have the season everyone else is thinking.
You got to watch it on those Saints picks and the Saints criticism.
Bro, those Saints fans, man, they will come after you on Twitter.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said Brees because number 2 on my list of busts for 2019 was one Tom Brady. I mean, there's nothing.
But you know what, though, Tom?
It sucks to say it, and I will get flack for it, but I will also stand up for it. His main weapon is gone. His main weapon is gone. Edelman is his next key weapon. But if defenses can corner in on Edelman, then what does Brady have? Yes, Brady's won Super Bowls with no-name receivers. Yes, I get that. But that was when Brady was a lot younger. Father Time is really hanging on to Tom's back right now. So
I will say, obviously, Father Time, I just don't think the talent offensively. He does have Julian Edelman, but it's just I don't see enough talent.
Yeah.
I just don't see enough talent on that offense. I think they'll be a good football team. I will say their running back situation is kind of balanced, though you just never know what you're going to get from those running backs from week to week. So the Patriots offense might be one that I stay away from. Last year, they kind of burned me in the ass. But
he's my second bust. He's the second one that I had on my list on bust-wise, Tom Brady. And for those reasons, it's the offense. I can't trust that offense this year. I really can't. So that was our sleepers and busts. We gave away our fantasy running backs. But again, we are going to do this on weekends. We're going to get a date to actually do the football show where we'll talk football. We'll talk fantasy football, give you our picks, and have a lot of fun with it. We hope you do join us. We're going to get into a little bit of NFL news and tidbits. I'm going to bring this up, and this actually may take the time that we have allotted for it, but we've got a few minutes. And you brought up Eli Manning earlier. Eli is still starting in New York. If you were a betting man, what week would Daniel Jones take over for Eli Manning? I think he does this season. I really do, because the coaching staff has already come out and said Daniel has been looking phenomenal.
Rudy, everyone looks good in practice.
Yes, in practice. But as much pressure is on the Giants to actually win, because they're thinking, okay, if we're not going to win, you may as well put Daniel Jones in there. Oh, we have Eli Manning. Well, let's see what we're going to do. We have to expect to do something. I think Daniel Jones is going to play at some point this season. What week, if you had to pick a week, what week would you see Daniel Jones come in for Eli?
Do you know when the Giants' bye week is?
I will get that for you right now. Their bye
Because
week is
I get the feeling, because I've noticed trend, Rudy, where they'll start a quarterback after a bye week to kind of get full things going. If they have
11.
Well, Rudy, I'm gonna go with week. I'm gonna go with week 9. I won't be surprised if they wait for the bye week, bring him in. It's all gonna depend on how this team looks. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. The offensive line, they've tried to improve. It just hasn't worked out. And
so we got their schedule. We can take a look at their schedule here. I mean, their schedule, okay, if you were to see Eli struggle against Dallas in week 1 at Dallas, which is very possible. Dallas is much improved this season. If you see Eli struggle to move the ball around, to get the ball to his receivers, and just they struggle completely on the offensive side, could you see Daniel Jones week 2 against the Bills, who are not a huge team? They're not going to be a repetitive
I think they're going to ride the course, Rudy, with him, and they're going to wait and see. I think it's going to be somewhere between maybe after maybe the week of the Jets.
That could be possible. So you're saying about week 9, week 10.
Yeah.
I looked at their schedule a little bit earlier. I say week 7, he starts against the Cardinals. So I'm giving Eli the first 6 weeks. Now, obviously, if he gets injured, that's a different story. But Eli, I think, gets benched for good after week 6 because you've got Dallas, you've got Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Washington, Minnesota, New England. Ideally, you should be 3-3. Ideally. I don't see them beating Dallas, Minnesota, or New England. If they lose 2 out of the 3 to either Buffalo, Tampa Bay, or Washington, I think that's enough. That's enough right there to say, okay, week 7, we're starting you against the Cardinals, because ideally the Giants should be 3-3 right there.
Do you think the head coach is on the hot seat? Because I think he is. Because first of all, it was a questionable hire to begin with.
Yeah.
But why bring him back after another losing season? Because really, they're going to have a losing season again. I mean, unless they shock the world and make a playoff run. But I just don't think Eli has it left in the tank. Rudy, there was that one picture. I don't know if you remember, where he was like the look in his face. He was like scared to shit because he got sacked. Yeah. I forgot what game that was.
That was against Dallas.
Where he just looked like he was just scared of his mind. And I think the Giants really, at this point, I don't know if they even know what they're doing. You trade Odell Beckham when you said he wasn't going to trade him. Defensively, they traded a bunch of their guys. They didn't bring Landon Collins back. They traded one of their defensive linemen to the Lions. So they're all over the place. So, but the problem is, Rudy, you throw Daniel Jones into that.
It's not,
I don't know.
I mean, to me, I've always been just throw him into the fire and see how he does. I mean, if you start off 2-4, 1-5, you've got to make that change at week 7. You have to, because you've got a little bit of reprieve there, because you've got the Cardinals, you've got the Lions.
Rudy, their schedule
Dallas
isn't extremely difficult. I mean, they got
no, it's not. It really isn't. You can actually close the season out 2-3. I mean, if I counted wins, I would say they were supposed to be as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to give them the 6, 7, 8.
They're probably going to win. No, they're going to win like 5 games, Rudy.
No. I'm saying what they should win.
Oh, okay.
Based off of what they're not going to win all those games. I'm just saying what they should win. So, I mean, I say 8 games is the most, but like I said, if you start 1-5, if you start 2-4, that should be enough to say, okay, let's start this Daniel Jones era. But this is something that we're going to get into once we start going division to division. We'll bring up the schedules. We'll start looking at everything. That'll hopefully be starting up here pretty soon. I want to say maybe even next week. So we did have Carolina Teague actually ask us a question before we go. She, on the fantasy side, says she's torn between David Montgomery or Tariq Cohen. I'm going to let you handle this, but I will throw 2 cents in there. David Montgomery all day for me. Tariq Cohen for me is like Darren Sproles. I mean, you're going to get, flashes of him from time to time. But David Montgomery is going to be the workhorse in Chicago. I think with Howard being gone to Philadelphia, he takes over that role. But if you ask me, is he going to be better than Howard? I say hands down, yes. I love David Montgomery. I said earlier, he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year, in my opinion. That's how much I love this guy. So what do you got as far as Montgomery or Tariq Cohen?
It's Montgomery, Rudy. And to be honest, I don't think it's close. Though I will say Tariq, very impressive. He's a speedster. I mean, they get him out in space. He could do a lot of different things. But in reality, I just don't really compare the two because one's more of a workhorse. The other one's more of kind of a speeder. It's David Montgomery. Really, I expect 250, 275 touches, maybe 7 touchdowns, 1,100 yards. I just really, and I know I'm going out on a limb. He's a rookie, but just the situation is just there, Rudy. The offensive line, the defense is going to have a positive game script. Just everything just flows for a success. And I get people saying he's a rookie, but listen, Ezekiel Elliott, what did he do as a rookie, Rudy, when in the perfect situation? He flourished. Alvin Kamara, it's the perfect situation. And I think running back is one of the easiest transitions in the NFL. So it's a no-brainer to me, David Montgomery. And for that fool on that Twitter post who said Tariq Cohen, because it's a rookie. Well, crap. David Montgomery. If you're sitting there 3rd, 4th, 5th round, whatever, I'm telling you, he's worth the risk.
Look at the latest rookie running backs to make a name for themselves their first year. Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt.
Bro,
you want to go recently?
Saquon Barkley.
You can even go. God, this kid's name was just on my head, but bro, I mean, these guys.
Nick Chubb didn't do bad.
Who's that?
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Nick Chubb. That's who I was thinking of. Nick Chubb.
Tony Michel. I know he was hurt, but he did very well. I mean,
being a rookie doesn't matter anymore in the league. It's the opportunity given, and Montgomery has it right there for him. I mean, I think we said what earlier, they had 422 touches total last year.
Yeah, I think it's around 470, I believe. Yeah. So I mean, Rudy, with Howard gone, the rest of the touches, Tariq Cohen's on an every down back, so you have to give the majority to the other guy, and it just it's just right there in your face.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. He could struggle, Rudy, but just everything just looks like a perfect situation for him to thrive. I'm not saying you don't draft Tariq Cohen because obviously you need to, and he's more of a flex guy. Potentially, if you have certain bye weeks, you want to plug him in there. Certain matchups, for sure, you want to really study fantasy, but it's Montgomery.
Yeah, I hear you, and I agree with the same thing.
Rudy, I mean, listen, I can be Ian Crow at the end of the season. We could be completely wrong, Rudy, and that's just the beauty of fantasy football.
Yeah, that it is, and I'm pretty excited to get started on the fantasy football talk. We wanted to talk fantasy football and regular, and just football in general today because of all the NBA talk, but we'll get back into some NBA talk on the next show. I needed a break from it. I know you needed a break from it.
Yeah,
I would have loved to have been in Vegas as a fan watching all the summer league games, and I would have loved to have it paid for, but I'm not as lucky as that. So we'll get into more NBA talk. I mean,
you could have gone, Rudy. You just have to ask for some donations.
I might ask to go so I can go to the maybe a couple of Falcon games or something. But no, I mean, we'll talk more NBA on the next podcast because it's summer league right now. I'm waiting for the summer league in Vegas to finish up to give my assessment on all of the teams out there that had team. Obviously, I have all the players out there. Spurs are having a fantastic summer league. I love what they're doing. I love the youth that the Spurs have in Las Vegas. I don't know for sure if I heard late, but I don't know if they shut Lonnie Walker down for the rest of the summer league. If they did, kudos to them. If they didn't, what the hell are you thinking? Shut him down. He doesn't need to be playing any more summer ball. Luka's been right where I was hoping he would be. He's been pretty consistent. He makes a few passes that are just mind-boggling, but the other person is Kendall Johnson that I was scratching my head when they drafted him because I'm thinking you've got another guard, another, small forward, but it actually makes a lot more sense. He was a 3-and-D player. He loves to play defense. I just think his offensive performance and his offensive output is more than I expected for him. I thought he would be more of a Bruce Bowen type player where the Spurs would have him on the corner, knock down the corner three, D up on so-and-so, stuff like that. He's actually a lot more explosive than I expected him to be. I saw him that way when he was in high school. At Kentucky, he kind of came down a little bit, but now he's showing his offensive repertoire, and I'm actually more impressed. So, the Spurs are doing really, really good this season.
They've been playing very well.
Rudy,
I did want to answer one question.
Okay.
It was actually one of my friends from one of my fantasy football leagues. It's not really football related, but it's regarding actually a guest that we're going to actually have on the show in a few weeks. Okay. So the guy said, I have a question. After 10 plus years of fantasy football, why does Kalen can't ever send a good trade? Why does he think sending best player for 3 sorry bums acceptable? And Steve, I'm here to respond. I don't know, bro. Kalen think he can do a fast one on us, trade you a bunch of guys for your star.
Wow.
What Kalen forgets is you can't start everyone, Kalen. So setting me 4 players for my best player is not always going to work, man. So,
and see, I respect your boy Kalen because
no. Listen,
no.
He sends bad trades, man. I'm telling you right now. He sends
bad trades are different, but I send the exact same trade a lot of times. But my thing is different. And when we go through fantasy football this season, I'm going to share the trades that I do. I'm going to share every transaction I do. I'm going to do everything because I want you to see a different aspect of the fantasy.
Normally, I stay pretty put with my team. I think I'm more of a free agent type of guy.
That's tough. That's tough.
It's tough.
The waiver wire. The waiver wire. I never get priority.
It's tough, Rudy, but sometimes things happen at the end of the week. And guess who's your best friend?
No, but for whatever reason, and it always pisses me off, in Nick's league, I never, ever, and I could be the worst team in the entire league at 1-4, 1-5, and I never get top priority on the waiver wire, ever. I'm always at the bottom. And I found out why.
I want to research.
Well, no, I found out why at the end of the season is because if you make a transaction before the waiver wire is set, then it's technically saying you go back down.
It does. I mean, that's a little bit of a weird situation.
That is.
In the league that I'm a 2-time champion in, I'm going for a 3-peat this year. I'm probably going to get it. Rudy, I was always beating these guys to the punch. Always, because you know why? No one's looking at their damn phone. But guess
is there any room in this league?
There might be because they kicked out somebody. But the past 2 years, I've won a ton of money. And what's crazy, Rudy, I won like 9 straight games. It was like a ridiculous run I was on. It was just, I was just hot. I was just hot as hell.
Yeah. Is it online? The draft online?
Yeah, I think it was a snake.
But it's online, so it's not like a live draft or anything.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, you do it on Yahoo or you do it on ESPN. You don't.
Yeah.
You're not actually at a bar drafting.
No. What is that anymore? No.
Well, it's big here. I'm in a league that we're actually going to meet up at Twin Peaks, which is Joe Garcia's favorite restaurant. We're gonna meet at Twin Peaks,
Joe,
and I think
Joe loves Twin
you know
Peaks.
what? I think it's the one on 151 down here, which is the one that Joe
Okay.
goes to. So
Well, I've done
do
like
that.
one like at someone's house, but I've never gone to like a bar or anything to do a draft. Because to
those
be
are
honest
my
with you,
first.
I want to be super focused and really in tune. I don't want to have so much loud noise and people talking and doing all this stuff. Nah.
I get it. Well, one of the drafts we have this year is going to be there. Obviously, another one is online. I think we're going to have a sweep the league draft for the podcast people that we are in cahoots with. So we'll have that league. And if you have an opening in your league, let me know. I'd love to kick your ass in fantasy football. So definitely let me know. I see that look on your face. I know. I see.
Rudy, they don't call me Coach Jill for nothing.
Well, it could.
I've been doing fantasy for a long time, and I've had a lot of
in the
wins.
fantasy world, then, huh? Is that what it is?
Rudy, I could be armed like a real GM in the NFL. The NBA, not so much, but in the NFL,
I prefer the NFL over the NBA when it comes to being a GM. I would really prefer that. MLB GM would drive me effing crazy. There's so many.
Nah, that's Austin, bro. That's
yeah, that's definitely Austin. But anyway, man, this has been the NFL / fantasy football show. This is kind of what we're going to do on the weekends. Hopefully do it on Sunday mornings, like I said. But I think because ESPN takes the whole attention out of everybody.
Well, not only that, Rudy, there's so many shows, man, on Sunday. So maybe Saturday might be a nice little, because there's not too many shows, at least that I've seen.
So we could probably do like a mid-afternoon Saturday show, but then you got college football, so it's like, what do we do here? So we will figure something out on the schedule.
You're right about that, bro. College football.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough unless we do an early morning, Saturday morning football show. So we'll let everybody know. We'll keep you on contact. But as always, share the video, like the video. Join us on Twitter. You can catch me at Sweep the League. For Gio, you can catch him at Coach Gio 56.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 56. So those are our Twitter handles. But yeah, keep on the lookout. If you've got fantasy football questions, just ask us. I'm no Matthew Berry. He's no Field Yates. But we are people that do a lot of fantasy football. I do a lot of FanDuel, stuff like that. So I'm all over the place when it comes to fantasy football. So this will kind of be the way it works. We're going to have a few people joining us. Austin will probably join us from time to time. Nick Lindsay is going to be joining us from Lynn Sports. Well, I think it's Reading React now, not Lynn Sports. Plus, we have some other guys that will join us for the football talk and the fantasy part as well. You'll have a lot of information. You'll have a lot of notes and everything being given to you. So we will try to make your fantasy experience all that much more.
And listen, if I give you bad advice, oh well, okay? Oh fucking well.
I don't guarantee my advice. I just guarantee that
I just throw it out there. And guess what? If you're in any of my leagues, you're asking for my advice, I may give you the wrong information.
I need to be in your league, so you need to let me know what's going on. And if I have an opening down here, I will let you know, because I think we might have an opening. So
yeah, sure.
Until next time, we will talk NBA on the next show, just because the summer league is going to be ending here pretty soon, and that's where I want to give a lot of my assessment as far as NBA players go, as far as the rookies and all that. So until next time, I am Rudy Campos Jr., and I think the entire time my face has been covered by my nameplate at the bottom. But if it has, oh well. At least you got the Mr. Wilson version of me from Home Improvement. So until next time, I'm Rudy Campos Jr. for Coach.
Wait.
Oh, we got something.
Rest in peace, Rip Torn, man.
Yeah. Oh,
the actor.
You did. You did mention that
from Men in Black. Dude, I was watching some of his stuff because I haven't really watched some of his stuff, bro. Some of his shit's hilarious. Especially Freddy Got Finger. If you watch that movie, he's hilarious in it. And some other stuff as well. Some of his shows as well he was on. Hilarious.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Rip Torn. I actually was introduced to Rip Torn in Beastmaster. So
okay, yeah,
that's an old school movie. So if you haven't seen Beastmaster, definitely go check it out. But also, one other thing before I go, prayers. Teddy Bruschi had that heart attack recently.
I thought it was a stroke. Was it a stroke?
Well, I think it was a stroke, but it could have been a heart attack. I just know that he said that his whole left side went numb. His his speech was slurred and vision. So
You think it has anything to do with football?
no, I don't think so. I think it was just something that Mother Nature may be telling him to slow down because, he does a lot of football coverage and stuff. But he's a good man. I've always loved Teddy Bruschi, a really big Teddy Bruschi fan. So he's a really, really good man. So prayers out to Teddy. You're on a full recovery. Hope to see you back on NFL coverage. So, yeah, for Gio and everybody else that's joined us tonight, this is the NFL show. We will see y'all probably next Wednesday. We'll cover the NBA Summer League as well as any NFL doings. And I'm trying to get Austin back on the show for some MLB talk so we can kind of cover all three sports. The website is www.sweeptheleague.com. We made some updates last night, so it's coming here pretty soon. So hopefully it'll be done pretty quick here. But again, for Rudy Campos Jr. and for Coach Gio, this was Sweep the League. I'll see y'all next week.